Hi, this is the review for Investigation 5 in the unit test, Skill More Percents. I did say you could use a calculator on this one because while you should be able to do this multiplication and you will need to be able to do it for the unit test, here I'm more assessing whether or not you know how to put the numbers in the order to get your answer, how to know what numbers to multiply, know what numbers to divide, and that's more important than doing the multiplication in this part. So again, we talked about in class the three different kind of ways that these percent problems could be written, and these are great examples of all the different ways. Like 1 is one way, 3 is another, and 6 is another. So those are, you should be able to interpret each of these problems and know how you're going to arrange the numbers in order to solve the problem. The first one is 76 is 80% of what number? I kind of want to turn this around and say 80% of what number is 76? Which would be 0.80 times something equals 76. And as we talked about in class, that if you had 2 times something equals 6, then you just use your fact families and know that you do 6 divided by 2 to give you the answer of 3. So this is the same thing. 8/10 times something equals 76. So therefore, 76 divided by 8/10 is going to give you the answer, in which this case is 95. And then you go back and you check, does that make sense? Is 80% of 95 76? Yeah, if you check it, it is. So that's a good way to check your answer. 2, what is 50% of 42 and 88/10? This is one of our straight of problems. You turn it to multiplication, 0.5 times 42 and 88/100. Or you could recognize that 50% is half and just divide it by 2. But either way, you're going to get 21 and 44/100, and that answer makes sense. 3, what is 85% of 120? Straight multiplication again, 85% is 85/100. Multiply that times 120 and you get 102. Does that make sense? 85% is more than 3/4. 102, yeah, that makes sense. 56 is 75% of what number? This is similar to question 1. So 75% of something equals 56. So how do I do that? I take the 56, I divide it by our 75/100 or 75%, and that gives us a 74.66666. So you can say 74.6 repeating, or recognize that 66 repeating is 2/3. So 74 and 2/3, or 74 and 0.666. Number 5, what percent of 80 is 50? This is one of those parts and wholes again. You don't know the percent, but you know the part and you know the whole. 50 compared to 80. 50 idiots. If you have 50 idiots, you divide that, that's 62.5%. 85 is what percent of 200? Same thing. I want to know how 85 relates to 200. 85 200ths. Cut that in half. It's just 42.5 hundredths, which is 42.5%. Or you could have taken your calculator and divided 85 by 200 and you would have gotten the same answer. The sale price of a bicycle is $120. This is 75% of the original price. Find the original price. This is one you guys missed a lot on your Investigation 5 quiz. Be very careful right here. It's not 75% off the original price. It's 75% of the original price, which means you're paying 75% of the price or 25% off. 25% off. So this one, 75% of what price gives you 120? You do 120 divided by 75/100, and that gives you 160. Or you can just do some common sense. 3/4 is 120, so then a whole must be 160. So you can think about it that way too. A company has 875 employees. On Half Price Wednesdays, 64% of the employees eat lunch at the cafeteria. How many employees eat in the cafeteria? Well, they tell you that they have 875 employees. They tell you that it's 64% of them, so you just take the 64/100, multiply it by 875, and you get your 560 employees. There are 1,295 students, and 714 are women, so this is, you're relating the 714 women out of 1,295 students. That's straight just dividing 714 divided 1,295, and that gives you about 55%, 0.551. Again, that kind of makes sense because it's 1,300, half would be what, 650-ish, so it's 55%. That makes a lot of sense. That's a good answer. In a recent survey, 216 people, or 54% of the sample, said they usually went to a family restaurant when they went out to eat. How many people were surveyed? 54% of some number were surveyed, and we need to figure out what that number is. 216 was the response. So 54% of some number is 216, so you do the division again. 216 divided by 0.54, 54 hundredths gives you 400 people. Does that answer make sense? Sure, 50% of 400 would be about 200, so it's a little bit more. It's at 216, so that makes sense. And this family restaurant is making me think of my favorite family restaurant, which is Red Robin. So Red Robin is our code word, Red Robin. Juliet sold a house for $112,000. What percent commission did she receive if she earned $6,720? This is no different than saying how many women out of total students. We're saying 6,720 out of 112,000 total gives us 6%. So she made a 6% commission on selling the house. This one was a little bit trickier because you just kind of had to pay attention to what they were saying in the sentence. So Jason earns $200 per week plus 8% commission on his sales. How much were his sales last week if Jason earned $328? What you need to pay attention to here is that he makes $200 a week no matter what, and the rest is commission. So you have to take that $328, subtract out the $200, and that'll give you how much he had in just commission sales, not just his regular salary. It's $128 in commission sales. So now you know that he's making 8% of whatever he made is $128. So 8% of what equals $128? You take the 128 divided by 800s, and that gives you $1,600. So that's not bad. He had $1,600 in sales, so he made 8% of that, which made him get $328. You did not have to do 13. 13 wasn't something that I taught you to do, but if you were curious, here's what it would look like. It's really kind of fun. You would just take your whole circle, which would add up to 100%, and divide it up. So like 25% would be a quarter. So this is about a quarter. Dogs are 30%, 22%, 11%, 12%. So that's roughly what it would look like if you did this problem. You didn't have to, but I just included the answer in case you were curious. So that's the end of the more percents, the skill practice, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Bye.